Tonight on KGW News, the new clues about the man accused of lighting multiple ballot drop boxes on fire. Plus,
will there be an event? There could be, but we're prepared for that.
How Portland police plan to keep the peace if the election sparks unrest. Then why high school athletes walked off the field in the middle of the game.
We got teammates that are not even my skin color getting called N-words, me getting called the N-word.
But first, the vote that's likely one big key to unlocking Major League Baseball in the Rose City. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. We begin at 11 with Portland City Commissioners giving their official approval to a plan to bring Major League Baseball to the Rose City. It is a pledge to get serious and to team up with the group that's been trying to build a new stadium and land an expansion team. Alma McCarty is here with what comes next. Alma?
Yeah, David, there has been talk of bringing an MLB team here for years, but now there's some action and another important step in making that all happen. At today's City Council meeting, the group behind the effort likened it to a marathon that's now turned into a sprint.
I believe this thing's going extra innings, Mayor.
It's going extra innings.
We're definitely in the playoffs here.
No shortage of baseball puns.
Our city is ready for the big leagues. Let's rally. Let's play hardball.
And no shortage of support for a professional baseball team.
Portland should be in the lead. Portland is the most appropriate market in the United States for an expansion team.
On Wednesday, City Council unanimously backed a resolution to make that happen.
This is the chance for the City of Portland to formally say we're partnering with the Diamond Project to really put together the best, the most competitive package for Major League Baseball to see that the City of Portland's ready for a franchise.
Back in September, the Portland Diamond Project announced plans to buy Zidell Yards, an undeveloped plot of land on the south waterfront.
We're just thrilled with this big step for us and in what has been and what will continue to be a journey.
Wednesday's agreement, yet another important step forward in the eyes of Mike Barrett, managing director behind the effort.
Not just the passage of the proclamation, but the comments that came with it from everybody enthusiastic about the project was something that was so great to see. So it's the clearest sign yet of full partnership from the City of Portland.
We've been hearing for a while now that there's 2 expansion teams coming, and now we think that this is the time for us to get our proposal together so that when they finally make the decision, we're ready to go.
Portland's trying to beat out other cities like Nashville and Salt Lake City for one of the MLB teams, with leaders arguing there's already a fan base here hungry for more.
Baseball is a perfect fit.
And Donnie Oliveira, a deputy city administrator, says in the coming days, weeks, and months, they'll be figuring out what it's going to take.
What does the site need for a stadium? How are we going to finance it? How are we going to move people around the city? How does the stadium interact with the river on the other side of the river? Those are all questions. They're going to produce answers and more questions and fundamentally start to tease out what is the financial impact and benefits to a baseball team in Portland.
Several speakers argued this goes far beyond baseball, with a widespread economic impact drawing fans from around the country to Portland for days at a time. No word yet on a possible timeline or a price tag. We'll be sure to keep you posted as we learn more. David?
Yeah, it's still exciting to hear that vote of confidence and to see what happens next. Thanks, Alma. In an update tonight, authorities say the suspected arsonist who torched ballot drop boxes in Portland and Vancouver could very well strike again. Portland police say they're looking for a man they describe as white, roughly in his 30s, who's either balding or has very short hair. Police say he was driving this dark Volvo sedan with no front license plate. Investigators add they believe the suspect is familiar with welding or metal fabrication based on the devices they recovered. I want to bring in Catherine Cook now because Catherine, with just 6 days to go until the election, we also heard from police about how they are preparing for any protests or potential violence. Walk us through their plans.
Well, David, they involve multiple law enforcement agencies, and officials are reminding everyone that those plans were already in motion before the ballot box fires. Now, in a news conference today, city and county officials said their goal is to keep Portland and its people safe after the election. At the same time, they noted people are allowed to exercise their First Amendment right to free speech. What they don't want is destruction, like what we saw in downtown Portland back in 2020. That happened during protests and riots after George Floyd was murdered. Today, we saw crews boarding up parts of the Justice Center. Portland Police Chief and the Multnomah County DA say there will be consequences for demonstrators who don't follow the law. And they say we should expect to see a lot of law enforcement starting next week.
Will there be an event? There could be, but we're prepared for that. I'm not laying awake at night worried about next week.
There's no place for violence or destruction in the lead up to or the aftermath of this election. And I want to affirm our commitment to a peaceful and safe election here in Multnomah County.
The Police Bureau has already canceled time off for officers and plans to have them work 12-hour shifts next week. Also, uniformed security officers will be posted up at the Multnomah County Elections headquarters in Southeast Portland. David.
Yeah, good to see. It appears everyone is on the same page there. Thanks, Catherine. Meanwhile, at that same news conference, the Multnomah County Sheriff answered a question about Portland's jails nearing max capacity. As we reported last night at 11, they're more than 90% full. If they hit 95%, they'll start to release inmates. But the sheriff says they are making room right now for possible new arrests.
Yes, we will have capacity and we will be available to support the work of our law enforcement partners.
Sheriff Nicole Morrissey O'Donnell there saying they've been focusing on moving inmates out of Multnomah County jails that they have been holding for other jurisdictions. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, Gresham police say a teenager could face criminal charges following a fake shooting threat made on social media. Police say the 15-year-old Gresham High student posted multiple pictures and videos of guns making threats about a school shooting. This came the night before a safety summit at the district to address previous security concerns. Administrators say they provided timely information about the threat to parents, students, and staff. Authorities have identified the man who died in a two-car crash in northeast Portland Monday morning as 51-year-old Zachary Fine. The suspect, identified as Manuel España Torres, hit the vehicle Fine was in at Halsey and 118th. He faces charges that include manslaughter, criminally negligent homicide, and reckless driving. Police say they believe excessive speed was a factor. And for the second time in just a few weeks, someone has tagged a Portland park with anti-Semitic graffiti. Viewer photos sent to KGW show swastikas and anti-Semitic messaging at the skate park and on other buildings around Laurelhurst Park. We talked to the security director with the Jewish Federation of Portland.
This is something that people are living with every day, and it can be very harmful to see those symbols in their own city. It's very unnerving, certainly speaking for many in the community. It's very unnerving to see. It makes many people feel unsafe.
The Oregon Coalition Against Hate Crimes wants to remind people to report incidents like these to local law enforcement. The Oregon Department of Justice also has a link on their website to report hate and bias crimes. Developing tonight, the Oregon School Activities Association is investigating allegations of racist and hateful remarks made by members of one high school football team against another. Sydney Dorner spoke with players who say they heard the slurs firsthand.
One of my teammates, we were playing football.
Javen Smith, a football player at Milwaukee High School, says he heard a Tillamook player call his teammate the N-word after getting knocked down during a play.
It did hit me some type of way because, as a person of color, it's kind of just like affecting me.
Smith says he tried not to react, trusting his coaches to take care of the alleged racist remarks, but says they continued.
And then as the game just keeps on going, we got teammates that are not even my skin color getting called N-words, me getting called the N-word.
Justin Brandon leads the Milwaukee Football Booster Club. He says after a player told coaches he was called a racial slur, they met with the referees and Tillamook coaches in the middle of the field, saying that also escalated.
The referee said the same racial slur and, proceeded to use the word again, even being asked not to.
Milwaukee coaching staff said in a letter to families they decided to pull their players from the second half of the game, saying safety of the coaches and athletes is their top priority. Defensive player Jerez James agrees.
If we played any more of that game, I think one of us would have gotten a fight and got injured, and I do not want that for the team.
Tillamook School District responded to these allegations, saying they are investigating alongside the Oregon School Activities Association. They say if these allegations are true in any way, that would go against their standards and would not align with their values as an organization. saying their goal is to always provide safe spaces for student athletes. Brandon says racist remarks are a statewide issue and hopes OSAA can hold players and staff accountable.
You need to be able to coach your players. And, a ref ever uses that, again, they should never be able to ref another high school game in the state of Oregon.
Sydney Dorner, KGW News.